The first time you're meeting him, you're like, well, I was in the Bullet Club back then, so like I do this thing where I like twist people's nipples, and I think it'd be funny if you like no sell it. And he's like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then he like walks away and then comes back 20 minutes later and he's like, hey, you know what? Like, I think I should do it back to you. And you're like, yeah, Sting, you definitely should twist my nipples, big. Because that's what people will talk about and remember.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic, and we are back here with none other than El Phantasmo. LP, how are we doing today?
Good, brother. A little bit of a different time zone, but we figured it out.
We did.
I'm in the future. You're still in yesterday.
Yeah, you're technically actually already in tomorrow. We got 10 minutes till then. That's crazy. You know what's nuts is
it's almost dinner time here.
Yeah, no, what's nuts is like this is probably like the first time I've done an interview this late. Like everybody wants to do it so early in the morning, and 90% of the people are on the East Coast. So I'm always up at like 7, 6 a.m., 8 a.m. But this is great. This is like complete opposite.
Oh no, yeah, this is great. I don't want to do any early morning radio. My brain doesn't start working until 2 p.m. Come on.
I'm like rushing to get a coffee and food just so I can get ready to do it. But let's jump into things. Let's talk about some Canadian wrestling. We'll talk a little bit about Japan. Then I know you got some things to do. So first things first, before we talk about anything, I always ask everybody this at the beginning, really quickly. What were your earliest memories of professional wrestling?
I remember going to my grandma's house on Vancouver Island, and she would have like WCW Saturday afternoon. Yeah. Johnny B. Bad and stuff. Like those are like the first kind of like wrestling I remember, and then I started watching Raw. But I vividly remember the first wrestling event I went to was like a house show in Vancouver at the Agrodome. It wasn't even Pacific Coliseum, it was the Agrodome. But I just remember it's like walking in, going through like the stands, and like first seeing the ring down like below all the seats, and I was like mesmerized. And my dad remembers that moment where he's like he couldn't get me to follow him because I was starstruck at this ring. But yeah, I must have been 10, 11 years old, first wrestling show.
That's crazy. So let me ask you this, because we're here to talk about Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. We're here to talk about Northern Rising happening May 10th. You're part of the 20-man gauntlet. But before we talk about that, because that is, to me, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling is doing a really good thing for Canada, for example, just in this instance, because you tell me if I'm wrong, but I've talked to a couple of people that are on this card, a lot of Canadian wrestlers as well, and there's always that conversation of like, yo, Canada's amazing. It's great to like, start out here, cut your teeth and get ready to start traveling for professional wrestling, but to really make a name for yourself, you got to usually leave Canada and go work in the States, go work in the UK, or go work in Japan or something to really get recognized. Where I think Maple Leaf right now is giving an opportunity for Canadian wrestlers to be on a platform that hopefully it grows bigger and bigger, that they could get recognized out of Canada. Do you agree with that?
100%. Like I didn't get to Toronto just a couple of years ago. Like when I was first cutting my teeth on the West Coast in 2005, it would be unheard of to get a flight across Canada to do shows over there. We were driving 12 hours to Calgary, 16 hours to Edmonton for $5. I remember me, Kyle O'Reilly, Gerv, and Vance Nevada drove to Lethbridge, and we shared $20.
That's crazy.
And we're like, this isn't sustainable. How the hell are we going to get to Toronto? But I mean, I think the first time I ever did Toronto was with Destiny. And then the second time I did it was with AEW Forbidden Door at the Air Canada Center.
That's crazy.
Which is like crazy for like your
it's crazy
first couple times in Toronto.
Yeah, you go from Destiny, then you go to AEW, and now we got Maple Leaf. I'm just saying, like, I think it's cool because, most places around the States, you'll be like, there's some independent companies that have really good reputation that people are like, well, if I wrestle there, I might be able to be seen. But it feels like we never really had that here in Canada necessarily. There's been some good companies, obviously, all across Canada, but there's none that was like, oh, from wrestling here, I might get the recognition that I want. Like, you drop some names there, guys like Kyle O'Reilly, guys like yourself, guys like the Bollywood Boys, like they had to like leave and travel to get noticed. Well, I'm thinking with everything that Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has going on, the way it's being showcased, like it's an opportunity for Canadian wrestlers.
I think it's one of the first biggest promotions in Canada where Canadian guys could get recognized.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at who's in this 20-man gauntlet, and there's some names that you haven't really heard on the international scene, like Mo Jabari or Sheldon Jean or, you know, so Psycho Mike's and these local Canadian guys.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we're wrestling this giant pay-per-view with international stars, with the production of Scott D'Amore's brilliance. Like, that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, because when we did MLP, it was in Windsor and kind of like a smaller gymnasium kind of thing. And now we're in Maple Leaf Gardens. Like these, he's going to go all out. Like they had TV trucks, like more than I've ever seen for New Japan for this little first MLP show. So, you know, this is the biggest MLP show that they've ever done. Yeah, I'm just excited to see the setup and how it looks. And, you know, it's going to be an awesome pay-per-view. We got Ranallo on commentary. Like, that was a huge goal of mine. When I first started in 2005, I was filming the ECCW shows. They didn't let me wrestle on the shows because I had to film it because I had the TV and film background. So I never actually had Mauro call one of my matches until MLP in October, which was 19 years since I first met him.
That's insane. Yeah, because he's also from here in Vancouver, which you forget about sometimes, you know?
Yeah, he's a Vancouver boy, and he knows knows all the local guys, and his family's still around. And yeah, I mean, he's the best, obviously, but
hands down. But there's two things I want to ask you about off of what you just said right now. First things first, you said that you came in with a film and TV background, like you were in drama and stuff in school like that. When did you actually decide that professional wrestling was what you wanted to pursue and you wanted to be a pro wrestler?
The funny thing is, like, I always loved wrestling, but I was always quite skinny and nerdy, and it was never obtainable when I was like first getting in. Like 2005, you wouldn't get a 19-year-old skinny Canadian kid in WWE, and there wasn't really anywhere else to go. So it was never really an option of making it. But I was actually in film school, and one of my best friends, Artemis Spencer, was a wrestler. And I remember in film school, we had to do a little commercial on an actual company. And I thought it would be pretty cool to go film like a wrestling commercial for ECCW. And I filmed a couple of shows at Bridgeview Hall. And then I started filming some of their training at the In-Pain Asylum. And as I was just sitting there filming this, and I was like, this is kind of awesome. Like, I love wrestling. Why don't I do this? And I started talking to them. I was like, what if I film things for you and you guys taught me how to wrestle? And this became one of those things that I would do for fun on the weekends that took over my life and consumed me. That, you know, when my first dream was to do movies and videos, and I used to make cartoons for Netflix, and I got that, but I would always be thinking about wrestling, always, every day. And in between like my breaks of doing cartoons, I'd be making wrestling posters and doing graphics for ECCW at the Commodore and stuff.
Yeah.
Wrestling's a disease. It just completely took over. And then, I got caught at the border. Yeah, I got caught at the border. So that kind of like closed that whole door of getting into the States, going to Ring of Honor with Kyle O'Reilly or whatever. So that wrestling dream kind of like faded away. And then the British wrestling scene kind of started blowing up. And it was like, I was 29 and you can get a youth visa in England until you're 30 to go work for 2 years. And it was just the timing of the indie wrestling in England with me turning 30, that it was like a now or never. And I remember sitting at my office in downtown Vancouver, and I was like, I will regret never trying to go make it than if I go and fail.
Yeah.
You know, if I go and fail, then I know I'm never going to be a wrestler. But if I never tried, then I think I would sit there and resent myself and be better that I never tried to make it.
Yeah.
And then I did, and I made it somehow. Who knows? But here we are.
It is
20 years into my bump career, you know?
It's crazy. I do remember having a conversation with you years and years ago, and I think it was around like 2018, 19, or around that point when I started coming to those ECW shows, and you were telling me about that, and I was like, I don't know, man, that UK scene's bumping right now with all this Progress and everything that's going on over there.
Progress, Rev Pro, OTT.
Yeah,
I mean,
everything was just I was bumping. The next thing you know, you were there, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy!" Like he went.
I mean, like I didn't. We would never even have 2 shows in a weekend in Vancouver.
No.
Like it would just be like the one Saturday. So then when I got to England, it's like you're wrestling Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I was like, holy shit, this is hard. How do people wrestle this much? But then you start doing it all the time, and you're like, I would not want to wrestle just once now.
Yeah.
Wrestling 4 times in a row feels better.
Yeah.
But it's just the landscapes change so fast that you look at like Nick Wayne, who's from Seattle, who like grew up around us, that like he got signed to a wrestling company before he graduated high school, which like we didn't even start wrestling until we were 18. Like we weren't allowed.
Yeah.
And there was no wrestling companies to sign us. And like things that are happening, like, dude, you know, a couple of MLP shows blow up, they could start offering contracts to Canadian guys. You know, there's the times in wrestling change so fast.
That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of opportunity, and Scott D'Amore has a background in this industry that is kind of unmatched. So it's like there's an opportunity to be a really cool spot for Canadian wrestlers to cut their teeth and really get that exposure that they need. And to your point, like I still remember Nick Wayne being at those Defy shows, and he was just a kid watching, and then next to know, he reminded me when he came on the show, and he's like, "Yo, you were at my first match." And I'm like, "That's nuts!" Like I forgot about that, but I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, like, watch them grow up, but you're like, you never had to drive 12 hours to Calgary for $5. You get signed to AEW, which never even existed. Though, like the fact that exists now is like so crazy. It's so awesome. And
let me ask you about this really quickly. So for me, one of the first matches I remember you having was against Artemis Spencer, and it was at the Russian Community Center, what it was over here, and it was a blast. It was super athletic. You guys have done crazy stuff, but also at the same time, it was a lot of fun. And you guys slowed things down. You did the slow motion thing, and you guys did the twisting dimples and all that stuff, right? And I remember watching that and being like, wow, this is like very entertaining. Like I need to be coming to more of these shows more often. I understand why these guys wanted me to come here. The Varlos twins kept inviting me. They come out, watch the shows. I'm like, all right, I'll be there. And that being said, you've always had a way to make wrestling like fun. And does that come from that film background to like make it a little bit more creative and fun than being so serious about it? Things like the loaded boot that you had going on for a minute there, like those little antics that you have that it's like you always keep people on their toes with something fun and like entertaining rather than just being so serious about wrestling all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I figured out really early, that professional wrestling is a smorgasbord of styles and entertainment. You know, like I don't go out there and pretend I'm an actual good wrestler. I'm not a good amateur wrestler like Josh Alexander or something like that. I'm not a freak karate guy like Speedball Mike Bailey. I used to jump off the balcony into boxes, and used to do improv and much more theatrical stuntman wrestling. Who's over the years learned how to technical wrestle with the best of them, but I was always interested in the fun stuff and doing comedy. I mean, you don't want to go to a concert that's not fun. You don't want to go to a stand-up comedy show that you don't have fun at or something. Why would you want to go to a wrestling show you don't have fun at? Like, you're going to boo bad guys and cheer for people in costumes and watch crazy athletes do crazy backflips, and then sometimes you watch a midget wrestle a gorilla or something like that. Like, it's live entertainment.
Yeah.
Which is what makes people have fun. Everyone comes out to different music and you cheer and you have fun. Like, I think you need a mix of all that. You can't always just have amateur wrestlers. It
can't just be the same style all throughout a show. You need to give people a variety as well, and to mix things up. How'd you come up with the entrance and everything? The flashiness, the lights, like why was that important to you to come out there right off the bat and be like, all right?
I don't know. I mean, I like everyone's like, you gotta like find a gimmick, or like you gotta be yourself amped up, but you're like,
yeah. What does that mean?
I'm the guy that sticks his head in the subwoofer at the music festival. I'm the guy that has costume changes every day for the music festival. The first thing I did when I bought a car was install a sound system with a 12-inch subwoofer, and then the next car I had two subwoofers. So, I just love that bass and the cool theatrics, and the LED jackets. Nobody was doing that back then on the indies.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've always like a DIY, make it yourself, figure it out. I mean, I could have a museum of all the different entrance ideas and things that I've had. And that's actually the worst thing I've ever done was signed up to have electronic coats because they break every show. And oh man, this fur coat I just have. I had it. Okay, so I got it for the G1 last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to do this whole like Ken from the Barbie movie costume with the fur coat and the lightning bolt pants. And then all my tag partners left and we kind of had to pivot to do this little sad storyline. So I was like, well, it's not ideal to bring out a new LED fur coat. And then I kind of held it off. And then, all right, we have a big Ryogoku show. I'll debut it there. And then we had a Gladiator 2 theme promotion match where me, Tanahashi, and Shota dressed up like gladiators.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, well, now I got to save it for the next big show. And then had a little health thing with getting cancer and all that. And then I was like, damn, I really had this fur coat for now 6 months. I got to figure out when I'm going to debut it. And then when I got medically cleared to come back at Wrestle Kingdom, I was like, perfect. I can wear it at Wrestle Kingdom. And the whole gimmick is it's all LEDs.
Yeah.
So I actually I had someone there sitting beside the stage, and the whole point was I go out in the dark, they hit the music, and then this giant LED fur coat turns on. And the music hits, the lights go down, and the fur coat does not turn on. And I can just see in the corner of my eye the buddy on the phone. He's like, it's not working. And I was like, oh, of course it doesn't work on like the biggest show of the year, the first time.
And when you finally get to use it, and you finally get to
like I was like, I waited 6 months for this moment, and it didn't work, and you didn't press the on button, and their jacket failed. I was like, these LED coats are a curse. So hopefully I can just stick with these glasses.
Yeah,
that's another thing. I've been waiting for these LED glasses for over 2 years now to get them mass produced.
Yeah,
and I've paid over 10 grand to a company in China to produce me from scratch these LED glasses, and they just, I don't know. I guess COVID has made everything so slow, but I mean, I was supposed to have them last year, and then I was supposed to have them at Wrestle Kingdom, and then I was supposed to have them for WrestleMania weekend, and every week I'm messaging them like, guys, what is taking so long?
It's been 5 years since COVID. I don't think that should be an excuse.
I know. They're just like, oh, we have to wait for the cases and wait for this, and then the shipping from China takes months, and God, it's been a nightmare. But hopefully these glasses come, and I can just stick with the glasses.
Yes. Just quick questions based off matches. You don't have to have long-winded answers. You have some things to do. So really quickly, you had a 5-star match with Takeshita in the G1. You're wrestling him again coming up at Resurgence. Are you looking forward to wrestling Takeshita again? And do you think you guys can have a banger just as much as you guys did the last time?
Yeah. So Takeshita is very special. That it's very hard to like comment on like when you have chemistry and when you don't. Yeah, because you can literally be best friends with someone and not have chemistry, and you can meet Takeshita for the first time in Korakuen Hall, and the first time you lock up, it's a 5-star match, and you guys are like, all right, we just click, and then we just clicked, we both have the same thought of pro wrestling. We just had a 15-minute draw for my TV title match last weekend, so now we get to do like the third match, but it's in SoCal, and a 60-minute time limit, where the G1 had 30, this one had 15. So, I think we're expecting to put on a good one. And he's awesome. I'm looking forward to it, and it's not often that you get to look forward to like big anticipated matches in wrestling all the time.
Yeah.
So this one, you're like, all right, let's go, baby, let's go.
I just want your opinion, because for me, I always looked at it as it's one man's opinion, and watch it yourself and create your own opinion. But where do you fall with these stars? Like, do you care if it's a 5-star? Do you does it make a difference to you, or are you just out there trying to have the best matches you can have? And if people like them, they like them.
I mean, it's just, I think it's designed to rile people up.
Yeah.
And get people talking. I mean, I don't watch a match based off whether he rated it 5 stars or not.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, I feel in my opinion, I've had 5-star matches that never got rated, and then the one he did rate 5 stars, like, I guess I could see that could be 5 stars, but then how was Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker not 5 stars from WrestleMania? And then like the goalposts always change, and I really just feel it's just something to get people riled up. But then at the same time, with movies, I'll go on Rotten Tomatoes and kind of see what people are saying, but then it's, the overall critics ratings, where it's not just one guy rating things 5 stars for the sake of,
Yeah, and
Ospreay's the best wrestler in the world, but not every match he has is 5 stars, and even he'll say that.
Yeah.
But then Meltz loves Ospreay, so he rates his better than other people. And Kurt Angle's never had a 5-star match. It's designed to rile people up, and as a journalist who survives off clicks and stuff, I get it.
Yeah, it worked for him, and it's true. Like I've looked up reviews for movies and stuff, and I will kind of just look at it just for like should I watch this and on? Then I'll still watch the movie and be like, oh, that rating. The movie was better.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does help if you see a movie that's got 98% critics and audience rating. You're like, oh, maybe this movie's pretty good. I should go give it a shot. I would have never watched it. I mean, that also could apply to Meltzer. If he says a match is 5 stars, people would go out of their way to watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a recommendation thing. Hey yo, it's your boy the Wrestling Classic Justin here, and I'm here to tell you guys about one of wrestling's best kept secrets for merchandise, officially licensed WWE and NXT merchandise, 500level.com. Check them out, 500level.com. Get officially licensed merchandise for the WWE, NXT, UFC, MLB, NBA, NHL. They got it all. If you join the Partnership Point program as a loyal customer, you will get discounts down the road. You can find merchandise for some of your favorite NXT stars that you can't find anywhere else. Javon Evans, Kalani Jordan, Carmen Petrovic, Lola Vice, Trick Williams. They got merchandise for everybody on NXT. You got OG shirts like this NWO shirt. You got big stars like the Queen Charlotte Flair. You get new designs like this new design for Lita. You get designs I helped out with, like this design for Dakota Kai, which I was a part of creating when Dakota didn't have those many shirts going on. You can get, like I said, NXT superstars like Carmen Petrovic and many others. You can get OGs like the none other than the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. You can get CM Punk, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, anybody you want. Sami Zayn's 500level.com. Check them out. You can even get the bad guy, Razor Ramon. You get your OG, like I said, logo shirts, NWO, WWF, Survivor Series, Raw's War. 500level.com. Check them out. Join the partnership program. Some of the best quality shirts, premium quality, regular quality. Some of the best product you will find out there, officially licensed WWE, NXT merchandise, and OG Legend stuff. 500level.com. Check them out. Keep doing the thing. We'll see you all later. Ooh, yeah. How did it feel to win the television title at Wrestle Kingdom? What did that mean to you? Especially after coming back from the, you had cancer, you came back. Did you come back sooner than you think you were going to come back? Did you get medically cleared sooner than you thought you were? Because there's no way to tell, right?
There is no way to tell. It was a very weird thing of just, this is what's happening and you have to accept it.
Yeah.
And, every time I have family or friends sick, I'm like, it's just positive mental attitude. Like, don't let yourself beat yourself up. And that's exactly what I tried to tell myself. I was like, all right, this is what we're doing. Of course I would lose a testicle. It's such an LP thing to have done.
Yeah.
That, I got lucky that they caught it fast. And I could get back to the gym really quick. And once it didn't spread, then you're like, hey, I'm ready. I don't want to milk this any longer than I need to. I don't want to sit at home.
Yeah.
And it was always perfect timing that the whole thing was like, I was always going to be in the TV title match, even before this cancer thing kind of happened.
Yeah.
Which kind of distracted people from the whole original story about the TV title with Narita and stuff. But I've been in New Japan for 6 years now, and that was the first singles title that I've won. So that was a very cool moment. I've proved myself as a tag team guy that as a foreigner to have the Tokyo Dome explode for a title win is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's a cool comeback story. Like you've had the tag titles, you've won a couple of those J Cup trophies, but to win a singles title in New Japan and on the kind of redemption tour of coming back from beating cancer, like it was a cool story and a cool moment. Let me ask you about something else really quickly because I know we got to wrap this up, but I just want to bring it up because I thought it was cool when I saw it happening. But how cool is it to being a kid that said you went to your grandma's house and you saw Johnny be bad on WCW and stuff like that, how cool is it to be in the ring with Sting and AEW?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's also surreal as well. Like, who knew that would ever happen? And then, the first time you're meeting him, you're like, well, I was in the Bullet Club back then. So like I do this thing where I like twist people's nipples, and I think it'd be funny if you like no sell it. And he's like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then he like walks away and then comes back 20 minutes later and he's like, hey, you know what? Like, I think I should do it back to you. And you're like, yeah, Sting, you definitely should twist my nipples, big. Because that's what people will talk about and remember. No one cares about doing head flips and all that stuff. Sting, like, jump off the stage and twist my nipples, and then forget about the own spot that you called. But that's surreal.
No, it's awesome.
I mean, even with this MLP 20-man battle royal, it's like Rhino's in it, Billy Gunn's in it, PCO's in it, the ELP crazy. And Josh Alexander. Like, it's such like a wild like Jinder, who's cool as hell, who I never met until the last MLP show.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
We talked about the Bollywood boys, and then Cardona's in it. You're like, what a random amount of people. Yeah, but I think that's going to make it so fun too.
Yeah, and you're crowning the first champion. Like, it's cool, and like there's such an array of people that could be the first champion. That being said, like, what would it mean to you to be the first champion if you were to win the gauntlet at MLP? Like, you're representing Canada. This is like the first big Canadian company in a while. Like, what would it mean for you?
I hope they wouldn't boo me because I'm the West Coast, Canada. We've got our hockey rivalries. I don't know.
Yeah, but sometimes Canadians just like, it's like Brett's from Calgary, but like we claim him for all of Canada. Or like the Raptors are our only basketball team.
So same with the Blue Jays. Yeah, I hope so. I just hope it wouldn't come down to me and like the local Toronto boy or something. Like, oh shit.
You and Josh Alexander, and he's from Ontario, so he's the guy all of a sudden or something.
Yeah. So if I toss him over the rope or whatever.
Last 3 questions. We'll wrap this up. If you could let your younger self watch any one of your matches, just one match, what match would you want them to watch? If you could talk to like 10-year-old Riley that walked into that arena in the Agro Dome and saw that ring and be like, one day I'm going to be in that ring and I wrestled this guy and you should watch it. What's that match?
Well, I think the one that most comes to mind, just because I'm a weirdo, would be my match with Maki Itoh in Las Vegas for WrestleCore.
Yeah.
Which was just so fun and weird, and we just had this idea, like, let's have the cutest in the world match, but it's an I quit match. But instead of saying you quit, you have to say you're not the cutest in the world. And, she's so funny. And, I love busting out that comedy stuff too. So I said, watch this, kid. This is what pro wrestling is. And you probably have no idea what it is, but there'd be a couple of moments where you'd laugh, and I'd be like, all right, kid, we're doing all right.
I'm so disappointed because I was supposed to be doing commentary for that show, but I had like so many things going on that weekend that I came literally right before your match. So I was there for the match. So I saw
I remember seeing you there, but that whole weekend was crazy. I don't know if I could. I'm getting too old for that. I was like, I can't wrestle at 11 a.m. and then get changed and then go to a different venue and wrestle at 3 p.m. and do a fan signing and then hang out and have some beers with the boys all night and then get up and do it again. You're like, well, I'm getting too old for this. Maybe one match a day is a little better next time.
And then I tried to like think that I could be everywhere and like hour by hour by hour, and that wasn't the case. I'm like, Uber's gonna take 10 minutes to get there, then 15 minutes to get to the next place. We already killed half an hour. I'm gonna be late, so we probably shouldn't. Let me ask you really quickly about this because you brought up the comedy thing really quickly again. Were you shocked? Because obviously there's comedic wrestling in Japan. There's companies that like thrive off of that, but for the most part the New Japan crowd was supposed to be like the super serious, very respectful crowd. How do you think your comedy stuff goes over with them? Was it a surprise to you that it works with them over there as well?
I don't know where it came in that everyone thinks Japanese crowds are so silent and respectful and they sit there in quiet.
I feel like they might have used to be, but I don't feel like they are anymore.
I don't think they ever. I mean, obviously during COVID, they could only clap, but they didn't even want it. Like, we would spend our days trying to pop the crowd of what we could do to make them gasp and audibly cheer a boo or whatever when they weren't allowed. But the whole Bullet Club teabagging and nipple twists and ball stomps and stupid things like that is more over than the head drops are in New Japan because they're also coming to watch a show. You can't always just have slaps to the face and kickouts at one and stuff. You have to have a variety.
Yeah. Let me
I
ask
think
you
the
this.
Japanese people appreciate that kind of slapstick comedy.
They do. I mean, I feel like they do. Yeah.
Oh, they definitely do.
Yeah. Future goals. What are the goals for you looking for? 2025. What do you want to get achieved and accomplished by the end of 2025?
Get a jacket that works properly.
Fair. That makes sense.
Or just buckle down and get a jacket that doesn't have any LEDs in it. For God's sakes.
I know you've been back to Vancouver quite a bit. You've been here for some shows. You've been here for some WrestleCore stuff and etc. But is there anybody? I want to say this: none of the guys that you came up with, but on the younger side of things, is there anyone in Vancouver that kind of stood out to you that you think should get like? You want to give them a shout out? They should give them the flowers of someone that you think, oh, they have potential.
I think I've got to wrestle a lot of the kids coming up.
Yeah,
I got to wrestle Icky. I got to wrestle Travis. I got to wrestle Miles. I got to wrestle a whole lot of that crew coming up. Someone I would like to throw down with is Tara Zepp, though.
Yeah,
I like her crazy shtick.
Yeah,
and, if I could put my creative mind with her creative mind, I think it would be pretty funny. She's working hard promoting her No Fate shows, and you don't get a lot of intergender wrestling matches, which is why I guess I had so much fun with Maki. But I'd do a death match with Tara. Why not? That'd be fun.
See you make your No Fate debut. It'd be pretty fun to see. It's crazy, like really quickly. Like it's crazy. Like we went from there's ECW, there's ASW, there was some stuff on the island, and then there was the pandemic, and like everything kind of stopped. And now there's all this. There's WrestleCore, there's Boom, there's Canadians, Apex, there's No Fate. Like there's all this.
Yeah, there's so many, and they're all doing different things, which is
there's Dust Pro. Like everybody's popping up with stuff, and I'm like, oh, like before it was like you had the one show you could go to a month. Now there's like, oh, you can at least go to maybe like 3 different shows for 3 different companies that all have.
Well, that's great. Like All Stars got the old school vibe. News got like the athletic, hard hitting vibes. Boom's got the comedy vibes. No Fate's got the deathmatch vibes. WrestleCore's got the variety of music and bands, and
I always say
Jason Battle Royal.
Yeah, I say WrestleCore is like an underground, like independent movie. Every time's gonna be different, but it's ever entertaining and it's crazy.
Yeah, well, I love that. I love the show in Vegas because it just had a little bit of everything. Had a death match, had a hard hitting match, had Artemis Spencer and Zack Sabre Jr. in a technical match, me and Maki in a World's Cutest match. Is just fun for everything. Rickshaw, the worst location it is, but it's one of the most fun venues to wrestle in.
I always tell Cobra Kai, I'm like, when I started doing commentary there for some of the shows, I'm like, I actually don't. I'm like, Vinny the Voice is the guy that knows the card and everything that's going on. I'm like, I just want to watch it and call it because it's so crazy that I just like enjoying it and be like, what is even happening here?
Yeah, same with the fans, and all react at the same time, and half the time we don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's great. I love WrestleCore.
Last but not least, and we'll wrap it up. We went longer than we were supposed to, but really quickly, I asked everybody this to wrap up every interview. And you've been through a lot in terms of getting banned from the States, finding a way to still make it and explore different destinations, making it in Japan, making it in the UK, wrestling in the States eventually for multiple companies, including AEW, and also then getting cancer, figuring that out, not knowing when you're going to come back, and then finally coming back, winning the television title. Now you're doing all this stuff, and you're coming back to Canada, you're wrestling here. It's a different stomping ground now. We got a company like MLP coming up, which is going to be great. That all being said, do you feel like you've made your younger self proud at this point? I know you got a lot more ahead of you than you do behind you, but do you feel like you've made your younger self proud if you think of your career up to now?
Yeah, of course. I guess when you put it that way, I don't think my younger self could ever even imagine me making money at wrestling.
Yeah.
Let alone being able to survive and travel the world and be living in Tokyo right now would have never even been a blip on my radar.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can have this life and career outside of WWE, which is probably way more fun than being in WWE anyways, to be honest, it's crazy. I'm having a blast.
That's awesome. And that's what matters, that you're having a blast. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. This was dope. It's always good to catch up. Obviously, I'm probably sure I'll see you down the road pretty soon, whether you're here or it's somewhere else in this globe. But that all being said, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, May 10th, Northern Rising LP will be part of the 20-man gauntlet to crown the first ever MLP World Champion. And yeah, you guys should tune in if you're in the Ontario.
Well, it's Resurgence on Friday in SoCal, New Japan. Then we get a red-eye 2 MLP, so 2 shows this weekend. Yeah.
Look at that. And then, yeah, you're going to wrestle Takeshita in another banger with a 60-minute time limit at Resurgence in SoCal. And then you're going to fly to the East Coast and do another time.
On a red-eye, no sleep. Go straight into that. Man, actually, when I think about it, I might actually have 2 belts to bring back home, which will make my bag way over the limit. I might need to bring 2 bags just in case. Now that I think about this,
you might have to check one in. But that's awesome. Hopefully, everything goes well with Resurgence against Takeshita. And MLP guys, Ticketmaster, go get your tickets. And if you want to watch it, you can find it online and order it to watch. And you can also just go there if you are in the Ontario area. Like, go check it out, guys. Go support the Maple Leaf Gardens, a historic venue, a lot of history there. They're bringing it back for wrestling, so it's going to be a cool vibe. Is there anything else?
Let's go.
Wrap this up. Let's go. All right.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada. Everyone
I'm excited to get some Timmies and get back and spend some loonies and toonies and see some weirdos in Canada, man. I miss it.
What do you miss the most from Canada when you're in Tokyo? Is it the Timmies or what is it? Outside of family and friends, because that's the obvious cliche. Like, obviously, you miss your family and your friends, but outside of that, like, what do you miss from Canada?
It's the marijuana.
Oh, no, that's fair. Dude, I don't know. Yeah. Was it? It might have been Cali or so it was Vegas. And I'm like, nope, BC's is still better. I don't know about this.
Well, it's been legal since we've been 20, like it's been legal for almost 20 years in Canada.
Yeah.
That it's better for you than drinking alcohol, where in Japan, you go to jail if you have marijuana and you're supposed to drink every day. You're like, yeah, it's super illegal out here, which is silly.
I didn't know that. You know what's crazy, and this is a whole different topic, and we'll cut this off in a second, but just in life generally, I've seen people do more dumb things drunk than I've ever seen them do high.
Of course.
I don't like people.
And it's bad for you. It hurts your liver.
Your body deteriorates with the more you drink, and faster. Yeah. Which is
I love drinking too, but there's
same
some days where I would like to go a little walk in nature with a little puff and just be happy. And I don't want to go to jail here, so I don't. But when I come back to Canada, I'll go to the legal store and buy a legal marijuana cigarette, and it'll be great.
After your 20-man gauntlet to celebrate. Anyways, guys.
Oh, perfect idea.
Yeah. Keep doing the thing. We'll see you all next time, guys. Go follow LP. We go way back. I'm glad we got to do this again. He's one of the first people I ever interviewed. I sat in a ring at the Lionsgate Dojo after you stomped me a bunch in the corner just because I don't even remember why. And then we sat there, me, you, Nicole, Artemis, and we did a podcast in the middle of the ring when I barely knew it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We just sat there. We talked. I still have the audio. It's somewhere. I could probably throw it back up there just for shits and giggles, but it exists. And we just sat there in the middle of the ring and we talked. And it was like one of the first times I did an interview. It's up there as like one of my first 5 interviews for sure that I ever did in terms of wrestling. So it's pretty cool. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you supporting all these years and all that stuff.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys giving us a platform to talk about this dumb thing that we do called professional wrestling.
I started an Instagram page, and now here we are doing interviews and talking to wrestlers, right? And making money on the outskirts of the wrestling scene somehow. Like, who would have thought, So crazy.
Love to see it, baby. Love to see it.
Crazy business that this is. But appreciate you, and hopefully I'll see you soon. We'll keep doing the thing.
You bet, bud.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.